Good evening or late afternoon. I'm Jay. You may know me as Lord Gizombo on Twitch. Have the honor of doing a lot of different live stream content, which includes, believe it or not, these two great people up here with me.
See,
the legendary Anna B. Meyer and her maps. Anna, co-host. Yep. And then the man who doesn't need any introduction.
Good.
Yes, legends of all legends. I consider him a good friend now, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Jay,
Ed Greenwood.
I do not have the clap. I assure you.
Ed,
What?
I do not want to get banned.
No. That's what that
Oh,
means
oh,
in medieval
geez.
times.
Okay.
That's why
it.
when you were applauding, you did this. Because this meant I have the clap. Stay clear.
That's awesome. So, yeah, okay.
Hey,
So,
you can all write this off as educational.
yes, thank you, Ed.
Yeah.
So, and comical. So, a couple of years ago, Anna Meyer and I had what was called the Fantasy Mapping Show on Twitch. It was myself, Anna Meyer, and Alyssa Faden. And one of the best ones of all time we had Ed on. I said, Ed, can you just pull out every map you've ever done, like from as early as you can recall, and can we show it and discuss it? He said, sure. And that was a while. That's almost been 2 years. So I said, let's reproduce that at GaryCon and share this with a lot of people who maybe not watch on live streams or just and have it in person and discuss some of the unbelievable things that have happened in this, with Ed's maps and with what Anna has done, and some stuff that we found from the early days of Greyhawk, and we're going to discuss them. And let's have some fun with it. And please feel free to ask questions. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Let's go back to your childhood.
The camera, I'm slightly off.
Oh yeah. Please
I gotta check.
direct
I'll
that.
do all the checks and stuff.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, you adjust it so you think it's in the right spot.
Jay is in charge of tech.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of
Yep.
confusion. So,
Wrong
okay,
button.
Anna, take it away.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm the one least.
Should we turn this light off? One of these lights off?
That
Oh,
would
yeah.
be-
I got
Plunge-
it. Oh, you
plunge
guys
it.
go. You guys go. I got it.
Okay. So let me.
We can do it in the
I'll,
dark.
while they talk, I will find better scans. But let me show you some of the cool stuff that come into the possession from Len Lakofka. He lived in Palm Springs, California, not far from me. So when he passed away, he left some really awesome stuff. Yeah, so skip it. Yeah, we'll figure it out, so to speak. So he left some stuff that will go into some museum or something. We'll see. Hopefully they will be somehow be preserved. So they're in my custody at the moment, but I'm not going to hold on to them. They need to be properly preserved and stuff. So we have some really cool stuff here. We have the original Lendor Isle map that Len did back in the 70s, and this is his original Lendor Isle map that he did. So you can come up here after the showing and take a close look. And I have some scans of it too, so I've taken good pictures of it. So this is the original map he made back in the 70s. And there's an interesting story. Every time we talked about Greyhawk maps with Len, and that was every 40 times or a little bit over that, he always complained because Lendor Isles got squished, and it was probably a formatting issue. When they needed to print the Greyhawk maps, they had a certain amount of paper size, and then Lendor Isles out there, and so they just cut it off, and they moved the Laurel Tarma and misspelled it and moved it to the mainland from that little island. And Len could never. It was 50 years ago, and I heard it 50 times at least. He complained about that fact. And Darlene screwed it up, or Gary or something, and it was really bad. So it
Laurel
was kinda funny.
Tarma. I heard it over and over again.
Yep, that we heard that to forever, so to speak. But he redid the map in this one. He probably did somewhere around 2005 to 2010. He redid the map again, and this map, he scanned this and he gave it to a German cartographer that then made a digital map that you probably everyone who gamed in Greyhawk and used his later modules, they know this was the base map that he used. And it was a German guy, I forgot his name. He did a set of maps that were used in his modules that were released from Dragon's Foot later. So this is the map that was used for that. So that was that was 2 of the maps. Then we have another one that is treasured. This might be the oldest Greyhawk map in existence.
Here it is.
So this is the story, I think, and that might be someone out here that knows even more. This is my guessing right now, so I'm speculating, because this was in Len's collection of stuff, and it's put together a bunch of little pieces of paper, and it's I will show a scan of it later here so you can see it properly. It's what I guess. My guess is that Gary put together this map as a sketch to work from to create the map, the Darlene map, so to speak, to give to Darlene and have as a sketch, and he made copies of that to send out to certain people to discuss. And Len was one of Gary's confidants outside the company, so to speak. So my guess is that Gary had this copied, sent to Len to get comments and feedback, and Len have made a coordinate system, and he has scribbled little things here and there on the map, so they probably discussed it, and then Len folded it up and put it away among his D&D stuff, and here it is ever since, so to speak. So it might be the oldest Greyhawk map in existence. I'm not really sure, but it's probably up there, because this is it's old, and it's really cool because it's almost identical to the published version of the Darlene map, but there are a little bit here and there. There are things that needed for technical reasons or to fit into the paper and stuff like that.
Do we got a year estimate on that?
My guess is that this is probably made like very late 70s or around 80 or something like that. Yeah.
It has to be after 74 because of the tape there.
Exactly.
That tape.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That-
and it might be that Len have added that, and it was just sent in pieces. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is probably that one of the map that was used as a kind of to lead up to the production, the Darlene map, so to speak. That's my guess. It came from there, and it was sent to Len, and then they collaborated, and Len was part of the that's why he was so angry when they changed things last minute that Len didn't know about, when on his beloved little island that got squished there. So yeah. So that was some of the
That's amazing that those original Lender Isle maps.
I've
never
copies
seen
of
them.
this online, so there are
Yeah.
other copies from that time too. So yeah, of this one, but I haven't seen the original. I'll ask Bill Meinhardt, and he never seen the original either. So the original is probably lost. So
Maybe I
we'll
can
see.
wean out something out of this.
Yep.
There was an Avery label there that's been pulled,
Okay.
Yeah.
and it left its stickum behind.
Yeah.
Avery labels like that started in 1969, but
Okay.
they
can be
last
used-
for years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
this is 3M Magic Mending tape, so that's
Yep.
after 74. But
So-
it could have been
Yeah. So
taped
my
later.
guess is probably done like from 76 to 80 is my guess, somewhere in
got-
that span.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be well before 80 because Darlene map came out in the original glossography folio in 80. So
Yeah,
it's-
80. So then it's probably done like 76, 77 or something
Yeah.
like that.
And
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
it's very imprecise because you don't know what sunlight it
Yeah.
was exposed
Right.
to. But that degree of yellowing, I would say late 70s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
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 Okay, cool.
Because and then it's been sitting in Len's stash of D&D stuff ever since, so to speak.
So
And-
we'll try and lay this out at the end. You can all take pictures on
and-
flat,
and-
okay?
Yeah, and
All right.
I will put scans of this available on my website, so you
Yeah.
can download high resolution scans of them, and
So you can have your own.
yeah, so you can have your own copy. Because I took my DSLR and tripod out, and I'm going to make sure that I color correct them and stuff, and get them in as high quality as possible. So
Awesome. So what do we have here?
yeah. So you start talking. And
Okay,
dig
I'll start
into-
battling.
because we have a whole bunch of stuff. You have some Corel maps here. so
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
We can start out with mine because it's probably the least momentous out of
Yeah.
anything.
So
All right.
Yeah.
So you remember the Darlene map, and remember how like everyone thought they could do genius things in like the late 80s, early 90s with like Corel Draw and other programs. Well, this is the limit of my input for this show. It's these two from my area of in my campaign,
So we have this
Celine
one. and this
yeah,
one. Yeah.
and yes, and my campaign here, as you can see, Altamira is actually on that map. So this dates us till I don't know 88, 89, running around of all my location spots that are on the borderland between the Principality Ulick and the Pomars, and you know, everything that is on this map is, you know, most of it is, you know, been from my own personal campaign. So, Aaron, can you go back to the Saline map for a second,
sure, yeah.
real quick, and then I'll finish up the rest of the adventure, rest of the discussion here. Oh my God, my brain's shot. Some things. Greyhawk Mike Bridges is the one who located this down a little bit, Aaron. I want to show this.
Yeah.
This is wrong, right? Carwood is in Saline, okay? The argument has been going on for this
We had to
forever.
argue for a couple of years.
Is it in the
until
county of Ulick or is it in
finally
Saline?
settled when someone did all
Right.
the research and
Yes, and Mike found
Yep.
out, and he's like, Carwood is definitely in Saline.
yeah. So I had to move that city over to the other
Yeah.
side and
So-
from one edition to the other.
The magical moving city.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what happens when you do bad cartography.
So
and-
note there's a
yeah.
lot of houses on here. Some of us may see there's Reston on this
Yeah.
map, and slide it down just a hair, and house just stroll up top. That's Lord Gazumba's house. Yep,
Yeah.
right there. And so this is the limit of what I did with anything with maps over all these years. Because I'm really spoiled now because we have Anna Meyer for the campaign and all the edits that she's done for me with the map. And
Yeah.
also, so I have my publication for Troller Games. If you haven't gotten one yet, we're going to give you, if you want at the end, we're going to give you let's see, 15% off from the Troller Games booth and a free giveaway for the Altamira teaser, which is going to come out fourth quarter this year.
In relation to
Yep.
this map, Jay, I don't recall many of those names in Anna's. Or have you-
No, they were from your campaign.
They're
A
all
few
from my.
of them
They're
have
on
made it
my
over, so-
personal campaign map
Yeah.
that Anna has edited.
Yeah, a few of them have made it over, like Altamira and a couple of others.
Yeah.
but-
So yeah, because we don't want to. So one thing we discussed, we don't want to over blog up, clog up my own personal things into the general map, which is considered the semi. What's published source nowadays, right?
Yeah. that's
So
the-
there's a lot of input from people like Malden's, Melcott's on, my Altamira's on, and there's a couple other things that other people have done that, but we don't want to put my entire campaign on those
Well,
maps.
people they often ask me what you do to get on my map, and people say, should you bribe me or whatever? But my answer is usually you put it out. If you start a blog and it becomes widespread and accepted and liked in the Greyhawk
Right.
community, then I put it on the map, so to speak. So I've actually put way more of other stuff than my own campaign on my kind of official public version. Then I have my own campaign version
Right.
that you can find on my site that has tons of weird stuff out there, so to speak. That's why I call that Meyer Hawk, when it's not safe for general consumption. It's just weird stuff here and there. Yeah, but
So can we sneak peek one or two of Ed's and then?
oh
bounce
yeah,
around?
please.
Let's do
Yeah,
that.
Whatever. So yep.
So Ed, can we start? Let's start at the beginning here.
Yep.
What's the oldest map I think we have is 1969.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of stuff. I don't know the names.
The date should
were-
be on there.
Okay, the dates should be on there. So we have 72,
There's ones from 69.
79. Hang on a second. Let me. They're named weird. So that's,
Yeah, absolutely. Throw us up this. Yeah.
79 is the oldest so far.
No, there's a
Let's see.
There's a 69.
Yeah, but you should name.
Oh,
them.
now it's my fault.
Yeah, of course. I was
Jay.
given these. So
I know.
76.
You're married, you know how
I
this
know,
works.
dude.
So we have 81, we have 76, 85, 79, 81.
There it is, right there. 16. Next one.
Next one.
Next one, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 86.
Okay.
Jeez. It's
Okay.
86. All right, go ahead, Ed. Discuss.
Oh, okay. So this is in the 1986 Forgotten Realms official turnover to TSR. I did weekly packages. They were so generous. After package number 2, a second look at the Forgotten Realms went missing. It's still on the way in the hands of the post office.
Oh
They
my
gave
gosh.
me their FedEx number, which was a good thing because this is when the map started. So from a third look at the Forgotten Realms, which is the third weekly package, 42 of 64 pages, the entire 64-page package was either maps or their keys. Because I was hand drawing these in school with a Staedtler pen.
Yeah.
And there's actually 2 maps of Mr. Anner. There's map in the year that Tusk, I believe it is, the original one, unruined, and this is the year of the worm, so in the late 1350s, if you were part of the gold rush to get killed by demons or devils, take your pick, in the ruins of Mythdraenor, this is what you would have seen. All the pointillism is where buildings are rubble. And I was just hand drawing these, and the nice thing about doing maps like this, with the buildings as little black blocks, although hopefully not at this scale, is if you use a Staedtler pen and Pelican ink or any other really black ink, I'm just telling you what I used back then, which is what I could grab around the house. Because the whole point of this is any kid can do it with what they've got lying around the house, because that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
You then take a regular sheet of typing paper. There are these things called typewriters. No. Okay, and you lay the blank sheet over this. You put a light behind it. You can see all the buildings, and then you take a soft HB pencil and you put your legend keys 1, 2, 32, 56 over top of the things, and then you have a third sheet of paper, which is your typed or handwritten map key that the Dungeon Master has. So that you can then hand out this one to the players.
Yeah.
Or, if you're really rich or own your own photocopier, you photocopy about 5 of these, and as they explore, you give them another jigsaw piece of it to tape together as they explore.
That's awesome.
And they get to see what's on the ground.
Yeah.
You know what it is. And it's vital you do this, because unless you map every single building in the city, and every single building has a number, then your players go, oh, there's nothing here, but there's a number there, and we'll go to those.
Yeah.
So,
Good point.
yeah, that's the basic, get the basic system out of the way.
Yeah.
But the point is, I was a young kid. This is before D&D. I was caught in school, a prisoner of education, having my time wasted. The most creative green years of my life were being wasted in a classroom.
Yeah.
So I used it for this, and you can too.
Uh,
That's the thing.
Yeah, one of the wonderful takeaways that I have, oh, it's my phone, I need to silence it. Takeaway I have from this is that you did such an amazing style that even the professional, these were remade into proper module maps, but still they kept the style of it. You can see even the latest of Forgotten Realms products have definitely your style carries through the whole way, so to speak, which I think
And this
is
style
amazing. Yeah.
is copied from Canadian topographic maps, meaning hikers maps, orienteering maps.
Yep.
And I didn't draw,
awesome.
with 2 exceptions early on, I did not draw the elevation lines. Okay, I did.
That was Len's speciality.
Yeah.
If you look
Yeah.
at this,
Yeah.
he had elevation lines on and everything.
Yeah.
So that was his
Yeah.
speciality.
I did
Yeah.
elevation lines for Silver Marches, because I had to get through Rich Baker's thick head. I mean, I had to get Rich Baker to understand, no, this is a cliff, Rich.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't say cliff. Oh, you mean I'm supposed to write cliff on it? It's a cliff in a wilderness. Nobody lives there. They're not going to write cliff on the cliff face. Just follow the elevation lines. Oh, is that what those are? You were in the military.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay.
But that's hard to get that type of information, because fantasy maps, you want to have a style. You don't want them to look like orienteering maps or ordnance survey maps or something like that. You want them to look fantasy-esque and cool, and still have a lot of vital information, so to speak. So that's really, really hard to make that balance.
We're gonna find that 69 map if it kills us.
Oh yeah, exactly. We need to
right.
to get in there. So yeah.
My fate is
It's
sealed.
gonna, yes, Ed.
Yeah.
I know it has the date on it.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
can you give us a hint here?
Yep.
Scroll.
I'm supposed to hint.
There's a lot of
That's
86.
the one. That's the one we just did. Yeah, 80,
Yeah.
92. Keep going up.
Oh yeah,
up,
we go
up.
I'm looking.
Up,
I'm looking.
up.
Yeah.
So that one's 76.
72. A lot of 83.
I know there's ones from.
Yeah.
I know there's one in here
Okay.
from 1969.
That's 86.
I'm just going to drink.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
There's another 79.
There's a lot of
Oh my
86s.
gosh.
Yeah, you dumped all this on me. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just do a search for 69.
Yeah.
No, use the technology.
No match. No match. For
No, what
69.
what it means
See?
is
And
none
normally
of it.
it's Ed saying that stuff.
No.
What?
It just doesn't have the date in the title
Okay, I thought
of
we
the
had
file.
it in the
Or the
title.
file name.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
It's not in
So-
there?
So yeah. Any. Hang on a second. I'll make. We can do this.
It was a city map. Was it?
We can-
Oh, was it
We can do
Waterdeep?
this, and you can. And we can do
There we
extra
go,
large.
there we go.
Extra large icons here.
Well,
Yes,
water
there we
deep.
go.
Okay, there's
All
a
right.
69 water deep detail there.
That's
Yeah,
it. There
so
it is.
which one?
Okay.
Water deep detail.
This
Keep go- no,
W.
No?
You-
Down?
can you make it smaller again so I can see the water deep?
Yeah, it's Waterdeep detail. I thought it was Waterdeep. Yeah.
Yep. Just point which one we should go to, and we go to it. Yep.
I'm not pointing yet.
Okay. These
Can we
are
go
the,
back to the original display with all the little
Oh,
stuff?
the list.
That one.
That
Pull
one.
that one up.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, we found it. 69.
Yeah, 69.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank God.
Yeah?
Okay.
So,
Awesome. Yep.
the original Waterdeep map, my father had a whole bunch of sheets of paper that were semi-gloss one side, white matte the other side, and they were 17 by 35. They are now water damaged, thanks to a fire and improvised sprinkler system, but they still exist. And if you can look very closely at the bottom, you see of the map, you see a very faint 181 and 182, Riven Street and Sleeper's Walk.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole idea of this scale was to purchase Airfix figures, which is the only ones that we could get in Canada. These are
Yeah.
British manufacture. They are yellow waxy plastic. They're 1 to 87 millimeter scale. So if you have an HO model railroad, that's 1/72nd. 187 is British OO model railroad. But they made military figure packs and miniatures packs for your railway, like railway porters, women standing with their children, men walking dogs, that sort of stuff. And they all, you bought a little box for 60 cents of about 48 Airfix figures, and you twisted them off the sprue. And if you didn't wash them in detergent, they were waxy for the rest of their existence. They had bases which were about that big, a rectangular base. Each one of these brownstone style buildings should fit, like the Airfix figure base will probably touch all of its edges, but you know what building you're in. So if the party is staying together, or a patrol of the City Watch of Waterdeep are moving as one, you know what building they're in. The reason those two numerals are faded is because, remember we were talking about Avery labels?
Yeah.
And
Yes,
I said, oh, okay,
Avery's.
you pull out an Avery label, and you pull out your parents' trusty pair of scissors, and you cut it to fit the building, and then you slapped it down on the building, and then you wrote, and Avery labels have their own wax coating, and when you're writing with a Staedtler, it just wipes off. So you say a few choice words, and then you go and find some pen that your parents have. In my case, I was being raised by Aunt Clara. Aunt Clara grew up in the Victorian age. She had nib pens. If you take a nib pen with no ink on it, because I didn't have an inkwell that I could get to, she had one, but if I opened that inkwell, but you use the tip of the pen. She never knew what caused this. And you scratch the numerals with your tiny, perfect, childlike hands and your tiny, perfect childhood vision that works. You scratch the wax off, and then you go back with your Staedtler pen and draw in the wax. They get faint and weird, but you can read them, and eventually they will dry. So these are maps at that scale. So if you can imagine, the city of Waterdeep stretches from my belly to beyond the back seat. Okay? And you can lay it out, and then you know you're in a fantasy city. Holy crap.
Yep.
And you can know that your enemy is somewhere over there in Castle Ward. But your eyes aren't good enough to see exactly where they are, so it's very realistic simulation.
Yep.
So,
So-
Ed said
Awesome.
there's no D&D this time for 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? What were you? I know you're just creating a fantasy setting.
I was a lonely kid writing fantasy stories
Yeah.
for my own entertainment. And one of the inspirations, Fritz Leiber, spelled Lieber, it's pronounced Leiber, had Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. And it's Fafhrd to rhyme with Proffered, by the way. Grey Mouser was based on his friend, Harry O. Fisher. They're both dead now. Fritz was Fafhrd, the northern barbarian. This Mutt and Jeff crew had adventures through cities. So I wanted my city to be better than Lankhmar. I don't mean better as in I'm trying to compete with Fritz, as in the frustrating thing about Lankhmar with the golden lamprey and the silver eel and so on is you didn't know where the water came from, where the poo went to. You didn't know how the city worked. And I don't think we've got any in this detail.
Well,
Yeah, I
see
think
if
it's
we
only we have from
one on
69.
the other map here.
We can check on. See if
No,
we
no,
have
anyway.
it. Yeah.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
What we don't have on that detail map is a city pump or a city well,
Yeah.
because there were open city wells. What you did have on that detailed map was the beginning of the City of the Dead. So the City of the Dead is, by day, a park. So the pointillism there is
Yeah.
showing you all the paths.
Yeah.
All the stuff in between the pointillism is green grass areas, and I just drew my little squiggly trees, the foliage of the trees, and those are all the tombs. And the tombs tend to be extra dimensional in that you walk into a stone mausoleum of, say, the size of this room, and there are extra dimensional portals in it connecting with other spaces, so you can put burial urns or sarcophagi for tens of thousands of people. And they would be divided by what guild they were, so because the guild would pay for the burial. There's a pauper's one that the city pays for, and in the middle there you see one pond, just above 163,
Yeah.
and there's a little pond down here.
Oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
one pond over
Yeah,
here on the
and
right.
that's how
there.
I drew ponds.
Yep.
I was drawing the ripples in the
Little-
water,
yeah,
just to tell you there's water.
Yep.
And this is just me making shit up as I went
Yeah.
along.
Great.
So what happened to poor people who weren't member of a guild? Did they
That-
dump their bodies
no,
somewhere
no,
else?
the city paid for a pauper's burial.
Okay.
And
yep.
then there's some of those largest ones, the ones that look most
Mass
like
grave
warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but they're inside. It's like an endless mausoleum by today's standards.
Mm-hmm.
Little numbered doors on the wall, and you open it, and there's jars if they've been cremated. There were certain things where certain guilds were allowed to take the bones and reuse them for things, but the skulls would be preserved.
So it's like Paris underground. Almost.
Yeah, like the catacombs, except
Yeah.
in Paris, the catacombs started to get improved as catacombs when they were digging up plague pits and graveyards, and they just had to shove all the remains somewhere. So they just sort of shoved them aside. This would be a thing where all the bones would go away, but the skulls, the person is in the skull, so they would
Okay.
keep the skull, and you didn't shatter the skull, and you didn't, and you woe betide you if you got the jawbone fell off and you got it mixed up with somebody else's, because you were trying to keep the person alive
Awesome.
in memory.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more map from 72, and then we're going to go back to Greyhawk for a
Okay.
little bit. We'll bounce back and forth.
Oh yeah, we bounce back and forth.
Yeah,
So
I know I saw the one from 72.
which one should we go?
Which
go to?
72?
It was the
Yeah, lots of 70s.
hit a 72 up. I know that was the next date after 69
Yeah, we'll see what we have.
because we're going early.
Oh, Hell Rue is a 72, right down the
right
bottom.
there, right there.
Big
you go.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. 19. Yeah.
So this is Eddie drawing stuff to look cool. Okay.
Okay. It looks
So
cool.
let's
Really,
assume that
yeah.
you are hovering above the sea, and you look at Helrua from the south. You can now see the mountains that form its borders from one side, so you can truly see how large they are. And this was me drawing a map that made the country seem real in my mind. It's really a picture. And there's a big marsh or swamp over there,
Yep.
just beside Lake Helrua.
Yeah. This here.
Yeah, and the simplified way of drawing things, if you have a village or town, it's a circle.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a city, it's a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
If it's really big, so if we go down to the coast, we'll see it. I don't think there are any on this one actually, because Helrua isn't built like that. But if you were to see Waterdeep on a map, it would be at least 3 triangles clustered one in front of the other to say, "Hey, look, lots of towers."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the only other thing is, if I had ruins, there we go. There's a ruin right there, right down the bottom. You saw it here first. Yeah, right off screen there. Anyway,
Which
To the right.
direction?
To the
go
other
to the
direction.
right. Go to the right.
Go to right.
A
Yeah.
little more,
Yeah.
a little more
Go
down.
down.
Oh,
you
there
go.
we have ruins. A little
There,
X.
and there's the X.
Yep.
Okay, because I was just, this is pre-D&D. I'm just thinking up how I want things to look in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I'm using these to write stories. And there's two sorts of maps, and I think we only have one in all of this assortment. Because I didn't get all my maps out for Jay and Anna because
Yeah.
I had 2 shipping containers full of them. So I couldn't retrieve them all. But there are very simple maps as well that you purchase in a tavern or from a map maker or guild that are, you know, here be dragons, you know,
Yeah.
those sort of things. But this would be the
Then you have like the handout maps.
Yeah,
that you get
yeah.
the
for the
in-game
fancy
maps,
setting,
and then
for
you have
the
the
game
reference
itself,
maps.
these
Yeah.
are actually,
Yeah.
correct.
So let me ask you one question about world building. Did you start like this is a cool location and you developed that, or did you have like a top down and think about the overall shape of the world? So to
Top
speak?
down is a generous. Okay,
Uh-huh.
when you're
Yeah.
writing a story, let's say let's say I'm writing a Conan story. With me, it would have been Mert. But let's say I'm writing a Robert E. Howard Conan story. And let's call it Hawks of Shem. Or, okay, something like that. And let's say that this fictitious story, I'm not following the real Hawks of Shem, which was not a Conan story. Anyway, it got rewritten into one, is we start with a caravan, groaning pack beasts, the wagons are creaking, and suddenly, up out of the sands, raiders draw their scimitars and attack! Okay, what do the raiders eat and drink when there's no caravan there? Why are they here? Is there an
Yeah.
oasis? Or are they attacking because they're desperate and weak because they're out of water? Why is there a caravan crossing the desert? Is it the shortest route? Are they desperate?
Yeah.
Are they masochists? Are they worshiping a god or goddess who tells you your fate is to die in a hopeless quest across the desert? Wow, I can't think that the deity like that would have worshippers for too long.
Yep.
Okay, so that's an unlikely one. So a caravan is going from one place to another place. The place it's going from has a surplus of something it can ship.
That makes a profit once it reaches the end. So to
Yeah,
speak. Yeah.
and the one it's going to has needs, that things that are short supply, things
Yep.
that are lacking, things that they need, like crowded city. Let's choose New York, our modern real world New York. Modern real world New York can't feed itself. They built all over their good farmland years ago.
Yep.
Every large city is doing this. Well, as it does that, you need food. See, that's one of the things you've got to ship in. So,
Yeah.
just from that, set up in the story, and we're going to, the raiders are going to attack the caravan, and either the Conan figure is going to be one of the raiders, or he's going to be the secret weapon of the caravan. He's been lounging in the back wagon, bumping along with his arm around some ladies who are dropping grapes into his mouth, and suddenly he hears, and he goes, sorry ladies, gotta go to work.
Yep.
It's work time. Draws his sword, leaps out of the wagon, and carves them all into chitlins, which are then carefully butchered and put in the end wagon to be sold as meat. Okay,
Yep.
so, okay, but you see that whole
That was
thing
the coolest part of the story.
has now told you
Yeah.
there's a caravan goes from A to B, and now you're world building that way. This
Yep.
is organic, slow growth world building. It can lead to some weird screw ups if you don't think ahead and consider consequences. Please do not have rivers running uphill unless there is a magical reason for it. And do not go to magic as the
Answer
carte
for
blanche
everything.
yeah, explanation
Yes.
for everything. But that's how I was building the world. And if you're going to build a world that way, may I recommend the no tears method? Seacoasts. Go from ports, just follow every time
That's a
fresh
great
water
idea.
hits the sea. You can go upstream and explore later. But your upstream exploration will probably lead you to borders between kingdoms or realms or lands or mountain ranges that are coming down, which should jut out into the sea as headlands.
Great idea.
And those are your natural boundaries. You can conquer across that, but unless somebody goes to the difficulty conquering across that, that's where a land is going to start and stop. And that's where dry land civilized people, us, will not live if there's a vast swamp.
Yeah.
Lizard folk might, some bullywugs might, but humans are hardly unlikely to. So you can just call it the vast swamp. And then that's a way of buffering between your kingdoms.
I'm just saying this is this map that I scanned, so it's
Lizard tongue.
yeah Lizardon. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. There's a bunch of named he used. You have Laurel Tarma, and it's interesting. Sometimes it's spelled all together. Sometimes it's a gap. So
Crazy.
even Len seemed to have gone from one to the other, and
What is it with Greyhawk and names?
yeah. So we have. So the
Manville.
yeah,
I don't
and it's
remember that
interesting.
one.
It's dated 566.
Yeah.
So his
Wow.
campaign didn't even seem to make it to 576. So it's
So
kind
is Leomund the cartographer and the date of
probably
cartography?
I
Probably
think so.
Leomund is,
yeah,
yeah.
So that's
Leomund
yep.
did a lot of things in his travels,
Yep.
which probably
And I also love that there's like the wooden stamp that he put onto for
Yeah,
forest.
you can buy those in stationery stores in the
Yep.
day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And another interesting thing is that the rivers always starts at the mountaintop. Almost
Yeah.
always. It's kind of an interesting thing that they almost all the rivers they start at the top of the mountain and then kind of slowly meanders down. So this one. And another thing, when you look at the Greyhawk map, and I need to ask you the same thing. There's only one river on the Greyhawk map that flows north. All the other rivers flow somewhat south or southeast or east or west, so to speak. And my theory around this, and when I've looked at most, and someone should do a scientific inquiry and look at fantasy maps, but almost all fantasy maps have rivers that flow down the paper. And my thinking of this is probably when people draw, it looks kind of natural for them
Down.
for rivers to flow
Yeah.
down the paper, so to speak. So that's why almost all rivers there's one river that flows is the one that goes through Bakluni country past Lopola and out that way. That's the only river that parts of its flow it turns north. And there's several rivers in Greyhawk that starts near a northern coast and then goes 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 miles across the whole continent to go out in the south. So I've added on my map, I've added several smaller rivers to go north to kind of compensate for it. But I think it's a psychological thing. When you draw rivers on a paper, you want them to go downhill simply because it feels better when you do it. It feels more natural. That's my theory, because I've noticed that in Greyhawk that's definitely the case. And also why it happened is probably because the Greyhawk map was not created as a whole. It was evolved gradually. They started gaming in the Greyhawk area, and then you simply created land as you needed. And once you've gone far enough in one direction, they say, oh, well, now we should have a coastline. So you just made a coastline. And then that river that then it just started in some hills 5 miles from the ocean, and that was it, so to speak. So it kind of grew organically. And it also has, the Greyhawk also have roots in the CNC. The Great Kingdom map from the CNC Society was partially kind of shoehorned in and became Greyhawk. So Greyhawk has like many different roots from previous, and you had Gary's personal campaign, the Castle Greyhawk campaign, you had the CNC Castle Crusade Society, Great Kingdom, you had Lindor area and stuff. So there was a little bit of everything.
Alan
You had,
Hammock's, Harold Johnson's.
exactly, and then you have Dave Arneson's Blackmore that
hodgepodge
got an
together.
homage up in the north,
Yeah.
etc. So it was kind of a little bit of mishmash that was then turned into the published Greyhawk setting. So
I can confirm that Anna is right, because when drawing rivers in the realms, unless I'm doing minor tributaries and streams locally, I'm always turning the map so down the outflow is at the bottom,
Yeah.
because then as I work on the river, I can decide for myself how high up is it navigable
Yeah.
before rapids and so on,
Yep.
because that affects where the settlements are going to be if there's trade across it. So, and the only thing you must be careful if you do that, if you're drawing maps like the Helrua map you looked at
Hang on a
earlier,
second, we can. My poor little computer can. There we go.
if
Yeah.
the Helrua map we looked at earlier, where you've got all these cute mountains from one side, when you turn the map, don't forget you've done that, because then
Yeah,
you'll be
that's
looking
true.
at the mountains from the other side.
Yep. Yep.
And the other thing is, if you turn your map a lot, let the ink dry,
Yeah.
because your hand will be resting on beautiful stuff as you turn,
Wow.
and the Great Whorl Well,
Yeah, you're right. Most of that flows south too.
well, this is because Haru is on the south coast.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
surrounded
That it
by an
makes
arc
it.
of mountains.
Yeah.
The people who settled Harua, the Netherese, wanted an enclave, and they had sky ships, so they could simply fly across and say, "Here, nobody can get at us here."
Yeah.
And we've got ample fresh water flowing to the sea, and we have capes so we can protect ourselves from prevailing storms
Yeah.
onshore storms, which means our ports will work. We can get in and out. So yeah, I would have turned maps for other parts of the realms so that I'm looking up the river
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
what I'm
Yeah.
drawing. 'Cause it also affects if you know about the life cycle of a river, an oxbow lakes,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and
Yeah.
stuff meandering, you won't draw it wrong if you're looking at it down.
Yeah.
Because the river is always fastest flowing as it's falling the furthest.
Yeah.
So that's up the top.
And I can tell you that even the latest terrain software that I work with also have river issues, because that's the problem. Is that then because you can't handle all the information in one go, so you have to handle this bit here, this bit there, and these things don't really communicate with each other. So rivers and drainage over large areas are still an issue. That's why I have to go back and forth and manually redraw and change things and fix them up several times before I'm done. So
And your evolution you had up is it about 10 minutes on that one?
Oh, yeah, we can
Let's do that one,
show
yeah.
show
that way
real.
we're halfway through it.
Yeah, we
on
can.
that,
Yeah,
and
we
then
can
we'll
show real
come
quick.
back to more Ed ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
let me go back to we go here, and then we have
Keep track
no,
of
that
where
was
we
the
are
wrong one.
time-wise.
Yeah.
Got a full two.
So we have generations here. Let's
Okay.
and then we have so here is the generation of Greyhawk maps that I've kind of used and or worked on. So we have the Darlene, and it's the same area. So we have the Darlene map here in on the left, where things that are kind of smaller than 10, 15, each hex is 30 miles. So things that are smaller than that are not really visible. And then we have in between my map, that is the second one, my first generation map, that you have the Hawk area that was a little bit more detailed, but not much when it comes to terrain. There was more labels and more places on it, but when it comes to terrain, there wasn't much more than the Darlene map. Then comes my map here that roughly, if things were 1 mile, then it was kind of visible in one way. And then here comes my new version where it's 5 feet resolution of things that are 5 feet. So I can show a couple of examples of
So litter bugs,
Yeah.
you're changing the map.
yeah, exactly. So it's the kind of, so let me go in and do large icons so I can see what I'm doing here. So we have they're basically done, but let's me go in here. So we have we can show crit wall here. That's the standard. So we have roughly each pixel is 5 feet. So this is my new standard of Greyhawk map, so to speak. So you have this. I took the city of Quitwall, but it's not only a city map, because you can actually go and you can see it. It's 3D as well, so you can see it in 3D, because that way you can understand why they build a city wall where they did, and why you build a road that way and not here, because you can actually be able to pull the cart up the road, so to speak.
Look at those farm fields, folks.
Yeah, so you have little buildings stick up and trees and stuff. So this is the one, but it's not only the city, because you want to know the surroundings of the city. So you can go out and see this is 15 by 15 miles in isometric, so to speak. So there's some buildings here I haven't done the height and stuff on, so I did. But you can see that the technology works, because if you go in here, there is a little bridge across that water. You can see the bridge actually shading the water. That's not something I painted by hand. It's done procedurally, and the data is in there. And then when I render, it actually works. And the road cuts into the stuff, because I can't sit and paint all this for thousands of square miles. So I use half of it is procedural, and then there's some touch-ups and paint over the ugly bits in Photoshop and stuff. So
Notice the word actually. It actually works.
Yeah,
There's this
yeah.
mistrust of
Oh yeah,
cartography.
believe me, I've been through so many iterations to make it work. So and technology, and then you can combine these, because this is isometric, so you can combine several of them together, so to speak, and then you can do even more. So you can treat the outdoors as an adventure. But let me show you a couple of. First, we have here we have you can do a larger area. So this is what the map will look like in full resolution. So these
Right.
are
Anyone know where that is?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. They were on my side,
Oh,
so
okay.
they've seen
Cheating.
this before. Yeah, they cheated.
Sorry, it's
Yeah,
good.
it's okay. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so these are, and this is quick and dirty. It's by no means finished. This is quick and dirty Photoshop getting together the colors and stuff. So it took me half an hour to touch them up, but it's to show what the details can look like in the maps.
crazy.
So it's 5 feet per pixel. And then we can see the area. So we can see here is what an area. This is 120 by 120 miles isometric. So this is where so you saw the previous map. That's the crater area in here. And this resolution here is 12% of the actual resolution. So and if you want to have a dragon layer, I suggest you put a dragon layer there. Because this is kind of cool. You can have it up. There's 2 craters. I put in a double crater because it looked kind of cool, so to speak, and there was enough room for it. And then you can have an adventure to actually get up there, and I told the previous the seminar I had that I had a dragon lair where they attacked, and I have the female dragons are the big and nasty ones. So I had the male dragon guarding the little hatchling in there. In a lair that was that hidden away. So once the characters got up there and they had a big fight and they killed that dragon, then Mama Dragon comes and wants to set things right, so to speak.
awesome.
But here you can have an adventure where they have a town down here by the Yellow Flow River, and then they have actually to hike through and get through all this. They can be like 6 sessions of random encounters, and this map doesn't have any tree. They will have vegetation and all of that once it's done, so to speak, and it will be cut into 16 pieces like the Critwall city map once it's done. And there's a little bit of Rift Canyon. So this is, if you had, that was 1960 standard. This is 2020 standard maps, so to speak, that is possible to.
I got to ask, what's the size of that map there? And
It depends. The final map it's a height map. That height map will probably be about 10 gigabytes in size, and then textures and stuff on top of it for the whole area, for all the 64K, so to speak, in resolution. So this
get
is
bigger hard drives.
yeah. So it's and you can have it like top down, like we saw before and stuff. So this is the stuff I'm working on. There's too many lakes, though. I have a lot of these lakes will be converted into swampland or grassland and stuff. So
Is that the Rift Canyon off to the right?
yes, that's the Rift Canyon. That's the
Yeah?
beginning
Okay.
of Rift Canyon. And I will actually, now it's just levels where at the bottom of this height map. So what I will do, I will re-import it in and make the lower bit separately. So that's another project that I'm working on that will come. There will be a Rift Canyon at 5 feet per pixel down to the very bottom, so to speak. So yeah. So you can adventure down and get the ledges where the shadow dragons live or whatever you want to have down there. So there will be plenty of stuff in there. And to show you what the detail of that Rift Canyon map can look at that little peak. This is a little bit of me photoshopping just to make it look pretty. So look at that little peak, and then we go to, there is a map, another one in here. So let me go into, we have an inspired here, there. This sticking out there, that's that peak in full resolution.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
That's
so
cool.
that is that peak in full resolution sticking up. That's the and it's already rendered. It's just that I haven't touched it up and actually imported it into Photoshop. And then there's a layer we can put little houses and trees and whatever on this too. So
Anna, do you have access to this?
somewhere I have. So
Okay.
yeah, you talk for a minute
Oh,
or two,
me
and
talk,
I'll
okay.
I'll
So-
find it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oops, sorry.
So Ed, coming around to the 80s, right? When you get published first, it's 85, correct? 1985 is really the first Forgotten Realms box set.
No, 87.
87, okay. Was it the cartography or stories or both that we want to buy this when TSR said we got to have this? Was it all that work you did and all the maps that you created, and they're like, man, this is just, we have to have this because the detail's already there? Because you're doing stuff 15 years before, 20 years almost before.
No, they actually made the decision. They hadn't seen any of the maps.
Really? Okay.
Jeff Grubb put a position paper, a white paper for internal company use, a proposal for a unified game world for the second edition of the game.
Okay.
The position paper was accepted by the vice presidents, and they rewarded him, as corporate executives do, by saying, okay, you find the world, schmucker.
Oh, okay.
And like everybody else who worked at TSR, all your offcuts, there's no pixels, there's no web enhancements. Everything has to fit
Right.
on a page. Everything extra got tossed to Dragon Magazine and published for free. Like if
Right,
you're on
right.
staff, you're getting paid already. You
Right.
don't get paid again. But everybody who could get access to Dragon Magazine, who was a hobbyist, read it. And Jeff, and for that matter, Gary Gygax, were reading my stuff in Dragon. So Jeff cold called me at the library and said, do you have a complete detailed world at home? Or do you make it up as you go along? And I said, yes. And yes. So he gave me a phone number and said to call it after hours. And it was Mike Dobson, his boss, who said, we want to buy your world, lock, stock, and wizard. And I said, okay. He goes, don't you want to know how much? No.
Right.
Because I wanted beautiful color maps that did not have my pencil crayon streaks in the blue oceans.
That's such a great story.
That's why I sold the realms. So they hadn't seen any of the maps since then. And then, when the deal was made, I was asked to start mailing that. So that it wasn't until the third package, that they saw any maps at all.
Wow.
And then they saw these maps. And then I think what happened was, and this is conjecture on my part, Karen Boomgarden was our editor. She was Karen Martin at that moment. And she had to fit the court into the pine pot. She had to decide what went in the box set. I had only one druthers, and it's a mapping druthers. I was sick unto death of Greyhawk maps where lazy cartographers made rivers exactly run along hex edges, and mountain ranges exactly run along
Right.
hex edges, and city built up areas exactly. Oh, God, that looked terrible. So I said, no, I want my maps to look pristine, so you could put them up on the wall, you could put them up on the ceiling of your bedroom if you're a teenager, you can put them up on the wall of a art gallery if you're an adult. They will look beautiful because you're going to make them beautiful, and then we sell acetate overlays that are in the box set so gamers can use them with the same utility. But I don't want my maps pristine.
Right.
And Jeff said, oh, I don't know. I'll go to my boss. And Jim Ward did a Jim Ward.
Right.
What? And then he picked up the phone and said, Mr. Greenwood, kindly explain to me why wargaming maps should not have a scale. All maps the TSR ever publishes will have a scale. And I said, Jim, they'll have a scale on the acetate overlay. You're costing us extra money, Ed. And I said, it's the real world, Jim. When you bought the car, did you ever put oil or gasoline in it? The world costs you extra money, Jim. And then he said, oh, and slammed the phone down. And apparently he went straight to Jeff's cubicle and said, that guy's so difficult to work with. Anyway.
Great story.
But
Yeah,
that was it, yeah. But, yeah.
Okay.
They
Wow.
hadn't seen the maps. But I think what then happened is they laid all the maps out and said, hey, okay, we only need 3 or 4 pieces of art.
Yep.
Which is what we got. Single column art in the
Yep.
box set, because we'll just do your maps.
Yep.
We'll put this map, we'll this map. And I was overjoyed because that was the key to showing all of you there's a vast world out here.
Yep.
It's big. Because one of the things with Greyhawk and one of the things with Dragonlance, you didn't even get to see one side of the world.
Yeah.
Okay? But everything was this vast quest. So if you weren't on the path of the quest, you didn't really see much of the world. And the other thing about Greyhawk is, because Gary was inevitably the human bottleneck of trying to write this game system, and we're all waiting for the next rule book, and he's trying to preside over this company that is expanding like a bucking bronco, and he's having to do executive stuff he was never trained to do it on the job. He didn't like it, but he had to do it. It was forced down his throat. Like, paying people, payroll. You can't screw around. The state wants you to pay the tax. You know, it's all this stuff you don't want to do. Non-creative stuff is being shoved down your throat.
Yeah.
Number 3 was bringing us Greyhawk. How long did we wait for Castle Greyhawk that he promised and promised?
Yeah.
Okay, it was a joke product after he was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forever after.
Because he couldn't do all 3. So you didn't get to see all of Greyhawk in a detailed way. And I think, although this happened with the realms too, there are still places in the realms that haven't been properly mapped. In my estimation, Sawsel, Sunfar, Murgam, Durpar, places like that. But, and whereas we get Waterdeep over and over again, over and over again, and over and over again. But at least there was the feeling that the vast world was out there. So in the initial launch product, gamers could say, holy crap, this is big. Because remember, they deliberately published a silhouette of the United States of America versus what you could see if we would say, it's big, fellas. So Dungeon Masters can go, wow, I can set mine off in this corner. They'll never get there. They were right. And so that was the key. It's a complete detailed world. And that was always my ask for a D&D movie or a D&D television show. Show us there's a huge world. If you're going to give us like Menzo Branson and endless, drow down in lightless caverns, I need some scenes where you see the mountain ranges. You see dragons in the distance flying through the sky. There's a world out there, fellas. We'll get there. That's what I needed.
Yep.
Quick. Yeah, go ahead.
When I first saw the Forgotten Realms map, what drew me to it, you had roads. The Greyhawk map never had
Exactly,
roads.
never had it. Yeah.
But it does now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So real quick, 2 minutes. So if you know, I have my Free City of Altamira, which is on the County of Ulick, Principality of York border, and it's never going to get published in Greyhawk. So Troller Games has been working with me, and we're plopping this, we're pulling it out and putting it in aired. So this is the 20-page sneak peek guide for the Kickstarter, which will be fourth quarter. And these are all Anna's maps. And this is Greyhawk, by the way.
It's very much a work in progress.
Yes,
so
that's
to
a
speak.
continuous
So
work
this
in
is early.
progress. But there are copies of these pictures inside in full color. Now, on the inside, it's all black and white, so a couple of them are too dark, but it's a sneak peek guide. So we'll give this out when you leave if you want it, along with a 50% off at the Trollard store here at the con.
Your work
Right.
is so beautiful.
So it is. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We have aqueducts, roads.
And
all
these lakes are
Notice the wall is a little. The wall's really crazy on the con. There's the aqueduct.
Oh yeah, there's the
on the
aqueduct.
contour. So running.
That was
and-
just my
yeah.
idea because
So-
I had a river that went up here, and then I just realized what the heck, if they want a source of water, you can just take that and lead it straight into the city. So
The one good thing about Greyhawk map is the detail's so lacking. Adding all this detail doesn't do anything, right, to the main map, because it's got to be there in detail. So we got the Jewel running, and we got Dunyalag and all the other places. So
Should
it
be
actually
some-
fits real well in both settings. So
yeah,
just
should be some renderings and stuff down here if I
you
can get
can get back to Ed's maps.
my poor computer. Yeah, so we have some.
Your poor computer.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah,
is,
we're really
I have,
hogging it out here.
Yeah, so this is a little
yeah, there
bit
you
what
go.
the
That's
city
cool.
can.
That's a great
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, so
of
you
the
have
city.
the city is built on the platform here. You can
Yeah,
see the
thank you.
up and that's where the lake goes in.
The
so if
the
you-
Grand Crystal Lake runs.
yeah. So this is what the mountain looked like
Yeah.
from, and that's what when you have the map is not a painting, it's actually data. I can
Right.
take it from another angle and render it from there, and put a pretty picture on it in Photoshop, and just like I did with Crit Wall and stuff. So and this is all the equipment. The river here is not done by any means, but you have the trees on it and stuff, so you can actually go in and see when the adventurers come over the horizon. This is what they see, so you can actually.
It's like you're making Google Earth for Greyhawk.
Yes,
Exactly.
That's
Well,
literally what
that's-
I'm aspiring to do.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So I'm spoiled. I mean,
And I get
Anna's work is
patrons,
unbelievable.
people that pay me to do it. So I'm
Right.
like, yes, this is awesome. I can sit and do this and figuring it out.
Really
So, yeah.
beautiful stuff.
Yep, thank you. So this is So let's see, we have, and I also did. Here you can see what it looks.
Yeah,
There's an
and
early
wall-
version of the terrain, so you can actually see what the terrain looks like. And I wasn't happy, so I went back, and I'm going to go back one more time. It's not good enough yet, so it will be one more iteration. There's like some weird lakes here that has to do with the rendering and stuff. So it's going to be fixed. So it's kind of
Awesome.
Yep.
So why don't we go back to the early '70s with mid '70s with Ed and roll through this? Let's see how much time we have here. It's we got 45 minutes. So
Yep.
all right, Ed, pick one of those you see, and let's talk
There's some
about it.
interesting city design
Yeah,
here that I
okay.
think is really cool. Should we?
You pick a city design.
Yeah. Should we pick this? I'm
Look at the so this is '86.
Yeah.
What is
So this is the capital of Cormier, Suzail.
Okay.
There
yeah.
are two versions of this. There's another one right beside it, and
Yeah, this one and this one.
yeah.
Should we rotate this one so it's the same direction as the other one? There we go.
ooh,
And then, so we have these two. I don't
Okay.
know- Yeah. Is there
So-
any difference?
yeah, this is an evolution of my brilliant mapping
Uh-huh.
design and cartography. You see, I was doing it with the black,
Yeah.
and that's the Royal Palace is that big blotchy thing.
Yeah.
The Royal Gardens lap around them, and there's an ornamental lake. That lake is like a foot deep at its deepest. Okay, and then there's the Royal Court, which is the building of government, where you go to see all the courtiers and get your permits and pay your taxes, and that's that weird many-legged thing out in front of it. North is actually this way.
Oh, yeah, you have a north
Yeah.
arrow there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yes, I have a north arrow there.
Yep.
You can see the gates. You can see that all down the easternmost
We
side
can
of the
actually
city.
rotate it so we get north
Ooh,
up if
yes.
we want to.
Oh,
There
okay.
we go. Yeah.
So
mhm.
you have paddocks on the east, inside the city on the east.
Yeah.
Those are military paddocks. Everybody else is going to use outside to
Yeah.
assemble and deassemble their caravans and to put their
Oh,
livestock
yeah, you
for
have
sale.
the port area here and
Yeah.
the coastline. Yeah.
Yeah. These weird little things on the bottom right here are
Yeah.
dry docks.
Yeah.
The wet docks, and then the little things that look like leaf skeletons.
Yeah.
That's the dry dock part of it, where you work on the
Oh.
ship and then let
Yep.
it down
Oh,
as you build it. These weird little things over here are cranes
Yeah. Ooh.
inside a fenced area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the evolution is from the old style of mapping where I was drawing the buildings black and solid,
Yeah.
and I could put key numbers on them, to new ones where I was just drawing the outlines, because now I was using a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe so I could see, and I was also changing tips on my Staedtler.
Yeah.
The tip looks like a fine wire, and the ink flows down it from the reservoir. It still blotches. You have to keep the pen moving at top speed, because if you ever stop it, blop, and it's spread, because it's ink.
Yeah.
It's not rollerball or anything like that. But I realized, okay, I have to start doing this, because then I can hand out a map that my players can write on. And
So did you make all the settlements using the same scale and the same standard like you would have
well,
on
no,
regular?
there's a different scale.
Uh-huh.
If we click out let's just pull back for a minute. You see
Yeah.
all the other black ones around there?
Yeah.
These are nobles' mansions at the top.
Yeah.
Okay, and they were things that early on I wanted to have a key. And by the way, this weird little thing here,
Yeah, this thing here. Yeah.
that's a ornamental maze garden, with hedges.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you see, I knew what all these weird symbols meant. It just had to be for me. Okay, let's leave. Oh, and there's a statue. That little black blotch up there. That's
Oh,
a
this
statue.
one here, yeah.
That's Dalmas, the warrior king.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. If we leave Suzail
Yeah.
and we go to Serpent's Cow, let's try that one.
That one. Yeah.
This one here. Okay. This map has never been published.
Ooh.
So this is a wayside map from the original one. Yeah, go ahead. Pirate it right now.
Yeah.
No, because if I'm dead or gone, there's a copy out there.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a simple key. I'm just writing it on the side.
Yeah.
Number 1, the Dusty Dragon, Inn Tavern Trading Post, Proprietary Temporal Iron Fang, Codic Goods 7th level fighter,
Yeah, it's over
hit points 48. Some
Yeah.
prices, and there's some prices
Wow.
if you wanted to spend.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, single, double, forehead.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
mhm.
And you see the numerals on the map, and see
Yep.
the scale here is actually quite larger because it's a smaller community. I'm still filling
Yeah.
the same 8.5 by 11 sheet
Ah,
of paper.
so you the,
Yeah.
the format dictates the scale,
Yeah.
so to speak, like in printed maps.
Yeah.
So you have to.
And these are farm fields that are tilled all around it, and
Yep.
so on. And so I did lots of maps like this.
Yeah.
This particular one never made it into a product. It's near Boresker Bridge, and Serpent's Cowl. The word serpent should give adventure types some
Yeah.
inkling of. Anyway,
Yep.
yeah,
So wonderful.
there are tons of maps like this that had never been published and are still in that container of just little wayside things that they would find as they were traveling.
Yeah.
I was exploring the realms as they were traveling. First in my stories before D&D, but once D&D play starts and adventures are on the move. Okay, just as in the real United States of America, and they'd have what they called stage inns, coaching inns. Well, the same thing from the UK where it came from. How far can a stagecoach get on this crappy road that's all mud and potholes in one day? Well, you better have it in at the end of it
Yeah.
so that they can camp and you can make money off them. And then another day.
Yeah.
Well, if a stagecoach can only make 8 to 10 miles on those rutted roads in a day, then there's one every 8 or 10 miles.
It's like on the Silk Road. I've been to Kazakhstan and other parts of the Silk Road, and they have these elaborate big fortifications that are built every it depends how close depends on how far you can go with the caravan of carts and stuff back in the 11th or like 10th, 11th, 12th century when the Silk Road was really active. And some of them are amazing. They're like, if you're interested in stuff like that, you should definitely go there to get fantasy inspiration, because some of them are so sturdy walls and stuff. So you realize there must be some really hard, tough attempts to steal from them because they put in an enormous investment in building fortification. They had 45 inns and stuff that are built that way. To me, what surprised me is, how do you decide who is the legitimate to come in, or do you have to pay gold at the gate to get in, or how did that work, or did you have like a special pass you could buy or something? I was kind of curious, and I asked
There's
the
a
guides.
weapons check.
Yeah, so I had a guide, and they didn't really understand the question, so it was kind of they live in authoritarian societies today, so it was kind of a little bit difficult, but but it was if you're into I can really recommend it and stuff, because that is like from fantasy directly. You have these, and they had like 2 courtyards, and the first one was to that you took them in and you closed the gates, and then you searched through the wagons, and then you had another set of gates, and inside there was another courtyard, so in case the enemy breached there, you can actually go in and have them as a kill zone, so to speak. So there was like a 3-stage process to get in, so, and only certain amount, and they were small enough that not enough enemy could fit in, and only one wagon instead of horses could fit at the time to go in. And some of them were built in 90-degree angles, so even if you get in on the first one, you could use a ram to get into the doors and stuff. So there were a lot of cool. So if you're interested in castle design and stuff, go then. Now you can probably find YouTube videos and Google searches to find this stuff to use as blueprints for your own keeps and city gates and stuff like that.
Let's find another cool one. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think that was the only one that wasn't published in this listing, Ed.
Yeah,
if I
I think
recall
so.
from
Yeah.
the original.
You have some dungeon or like cave stuff
Oh,
here.
go
Yeah.
click on that one. Let's
Yeah,
see what that is.
it's kind of an interesting contrast.
Oh, okay.
here. Yeah.
So, some of you may be familiar with Menzo Baranzan. Okay, there was a box set on Menzo Baranzan. Menzo Baranzan had a tiny map that was in the front of a mass market paperback in Homeland by Bob Salvatore. It was otherwise not mapped. This, what you see here, is the death of a poplin bedspread I had in the spare room of my home. Because I had to do all the maps for Menzo Baranzan in 3 days. And the cheap and dirty way is to use Sharpies, because the ink will spread and spread and spread and spread. So all the caverns, the underdark, the bedrock, is all that black stuff. And the little black blotches and so on are stalactites and stalagmites that have are still joined to form columns. I'm not drawing the ones that just hang or the ones that just jut up. I'm only drawing columns. Out here, Staedtler also provided, if you purchased them, these cute little green plastic things for school, which had different diameters of circles. So you laid them on top of the map and you drew circles. And those are the same things, the columns, the stalactites, tight, stalag, okay, that still join to form columns, but they're out there. Why am I doing them white instead of blotching? Because if I try and do them black and blotching, I'm going to spread across the paper. Because, as I said, I had to do it in 3 days. I had to do it with the paper I had in the house. I did not have proper paper for that, and TSR didn't want to wait. Because we always had to do it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Menzo-Baranzan maps in the box set, I drew in 3 days for all of the maps, and this is a tiny detail because I also did not have any large paper. So the maps were 8.5 by 11 sheets, and that's just one of them. And then you put them all together, and you lifted them up, and then you looked at the bedspread, and then you knew your wife was going to kill you. So you changed the beds on your own without being prompted for the first time ever.
I was going to say, that must have been very suspicious.
It was very suspicious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I rapidly learned that night that I wasn't too old to be spanked. And I will draw the veil of decency over what followed. But suffice it to say, these were poplin bedspreads. They had these little tufts, like you'd have on the top of a toque, a winter toque, but they were really tiny, and they were in rows all over the bedspread. And if you had your bedspread long enough, it washed out from royal blue to this faint blue, and various of the tufts became tumbleweeds and were lost. So there were little gaps here and there in poplar. So it was time to retire that anyway. Mm-hmm. Or so I told her. And
Wow.
she did not find that argument convincing. But yes, that is the Underdark in Menzo. It's an edge of Menzo.
Wow.
Cool. Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, I have one proper Dungeon map, so I'm going to keep this up and just
Yeah,
look
please.
at a little bit and just show one thing that you can do. So hang on a second, we have Dungeons here somewhere. There we go. So we have Dungeons that I made for my Shieldlands campaign using my new technique, so to speak. So here's the dungeon scene, and I use a very kind of crude, because I don't want to be too detailed in my map. So it's 10 pixels per 5 feet. So this is a use complex I call it the Dragonhide Caves, because they originated in my campaign back about 1,000 years ago when Dragatha had her rule, so to speak. So they built these caves to hide when they were fighting her, so she couldn't get to them. And it's limestone that has partially been eroded away and partially been kind of chipped out. But sometimes you just see the dungeons. You want to see where the dungeons belong in the world, so to speak. So here you can see the dungeons inside, so you know where the entrances and exits are. So here is simply where you can see the dungeons in here, and you can see where on my overall map where the entrances and exits are, so you can kind of see. So they fit into the landscape, so to speak. They're georeferenced both in this dimension and that way. This is a top down, but you can make a 3D isometric, and you can see the levels, and you can see where the exits and the entries are, so to speak. So that's one of the benefits with it. And this is my regular Shieldlands map, but they came in winter, so I switched the colors into what they look like in winter. So I put seasons on them, and my Greyhawk maps will have seasons, so there will be winter, spring, and summer, and so on. And I also made they were having a fight. There's down a small keep and stuff is down here. So I then modified it. This is an early version, but yeah, I also made I took this map and made it darker, so it was like in the night. So they actually had a night version of it, and you can take them in GIMP or Photoshop and just change the overall color. And the shading is on its own separate layer, so you can change the colors without having to worry about the shading, because the shading is on a separate layer. So that's what you can do when you have a map that is kind of specified in layers. You can take the template and redraw roads and do stuff like that on it. So yeah, but I'm not going to go into. I went into the detail on my previous seminar, so I just wanted to show what you can do with
Cool.
Italian maps if you really want to. Okay.
Hey, we got a whole slew here.
Yeah.
Let's scroll up to the top a little bit and see what
Yeah.
we got. There we go. I know
You have
there's-
some.
I-
What is this? It
Where,
looks
where?
interesting.
Click on
On
it.
the left there. This.
That's the back. That's the
It's
overlay.
an interesting. I was just
Okay.
like, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's- yeah, here
If
we
you
go.
were writing products for TSR back
Yeah.
in the day, see 1990 TSR Incorporated, all rights reserved,
Yeah.
they gave you these blank booklets. This is a layout map for a product.
Ah,
And
now
it's
I
actually
get you.
Volo's Guide to Waterdeep.
Okay. Yeah.
So there we have, let's pick in the middle there. It says page 138, 139. That's a 2-page spread.
Yeah.
And Southward is beginning. So I write that it's the beginning of the section. And I'm saying this is part 21, and this is a file, a computer file, for them to find, and it's running and becoming Volo part 22 and running on. Volo part 22 concluded. Boom, there's the end. And then I'm locating maps that I'm hand drawing and handing in. And I'm showing them where illustrations and maps had to go. You were given a budget, and by budget I don't mean money, I mean so many quarter pages, so many half pages, so many full pages. You were discouraged from using full pages because they were expensive and wasted
Yep.
space that could be used on game lore, which I fully agree with. Nowadays, a Wizards product, graphics come first, and game lore can be thrown away.
Yep.
He said it.
And
Yep.
take a look at my post-it that's stuck on the bottom here. I didn't subtract the old monster shop. Redo maps for preceding section, Volo part 20, make room. And down here it says it's 5.5 pages long, so I had to make it fit. There's no squeezing with mouse type, changing fonts. We did that with FR1, Waterdeep in the North, and that caused conniption fits. I, as a young gamer, thought, no, I'm just giving you guys more stuff, more bang for your buck. Me, as old fart Ed, with my magnifying glass, goes, I was such an idiot. But
Yep.
but that is how you did a product. So the freelancer assigned to a product was laying it out. It doesn't mean they'd follow it. And if you did stupid things, now, and the Volo is actually an unusual product. They'd never done digest size before. And look at all the
Oh
maps.
yeah, they were the smaller ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Ordinarily, what you see on the top there, those top things with map, map, map on successive pages, that would never have been allowed in an adventure module or a full-size source book.
Yeah.
This was an exception. And I had to draw all those maps in a month, so I cheated. I freehand, with great care and many curses, drew a frame. I drew it over blotch. Over blotch being you do it about this thick in a Sharpie. Because if you use a sharp edge, a straight edge, a ruler, and a Sharpie, and you don't use a special one that is raised, it will bleed underneath the edge of the ruler. So you have to use cartographer's ones and the simple ones you can think of. The ones that you whack somebody else in school with that are flexible metal with a cork underlay, those are the ones. But if you use it with a Sharpie, you're slicing the point off the Sharpie as you run along the thing. So you're sacrificing a Sharpie for your art. So I would draw a huge circle, and then I would get my father's magnifier, and I would look through it, and I would slice with an X-Acto knife to cut away the extra thickness to get a perfect frame. I would then take it to the public library where I worked, and I would photocopy it 322 times.
Yeah. So you didn't have to do.
And
it
then I
again.
would take it home, and I would X-Acto all the windows. And then I would take my maps and lay it as a frame, a window over the Waterdeep maps. And I would use balls of magic mending tape, because my father said, if you use up one more bottle of rubber cement without telling me, son, we are going to have words. I never learned what those words were, but I didn't want to hear them. So instead of stealing his rubber cement, I just did balls of thing. And I would photocopy them. And because I am a paranoid schizophrenic, I would photocopy 3 copies of each, knowing something would go wrong, of each map. And so those were all the maps as I moved it, like a little moving window over the City of Waterdeep maps. And when I turned them over, I got this phone call. This Jim Ward again. He goes, "So you're getting lazy. You didn't hand draw all the maps." And I said, "Jim, you gave me a week. How long do your mappers take?" And he goes, "Oh, that's different. They're on staff." And I said, "What does that mean?" He says, "Well, they take however long it takes." And I said, "There, and that's your answer. They take however long it takes." And he says, "Yeah, but I can flog them." Seriously. And I said, "I don't have the time." So I photocopied all the things, and it works. If you look at my handover, each one of those on map 50, you hand over a map pack with all the maps, and it says exhibit number 132, map 50, exhibit 133, map 51. If you were just using those at the gaming table, you can use them just fine. Although you probably want to cut off all that stuff because it tells the players too much. Oh, it's map 50. Maybe map 50 is near map 49. You know, so you would cut that stuff off. But if you just use the image, it's a perfectly good map. It was like low tech. And the reason I'm telling you all this stuff is you can do it too. You don't have to be a great cartographer. And you can do it in a hurry because you find out the shortcuts. And that it's good enough for your gaming table because it looks realistic, so it brings it alive. This does not look realistic. This is just how we did products in the old day.
Cool.
Yeah, before computers, BC.
Yep. And it also a lesson that I've figured out being involved in about a dozen projects is that there's so many consideration to publications. So the map gets squished and cut off and like Len and had a pet peeve with his Lendor Isles being on the edge of the Darlene map, and I heard it probably 50 times. He complained that these and the capital city was misspelled and misplaced because it was supposed to be on the map, and I had to redraw continents because so they could fit on the poster map, and there's all sorts of stuff that needs to be fit in, and the time budget. So I'll just go in and paint over the ugly bits in Photoshop and be done with it. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into publishing that it's not a perfect product that comes out, but hopefully it's good enough and fun, and it becomes legendary.
Yeah, you must be very careful if you're doing this professionally.
Yep.
I have seen a TSR turnover that said some shit goes here. Because somebody forgot to take that label off.
Yep.
So we got 23 minutes. Let's blow through some of these.
Okay. Oh, let's do Scornabel down here.
Scornabel.
Yeah, that one.
Yep. Next one. Nope.
No, over.
Up.
Right.
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 Yep.
Down one.
This
There
one.
you go,
This
yes.
one. Bing. This is the northern part of Scornabel. One comes on Heralded Deserta, the very first realm story. Deserta is the south bank, which is almost not shown on here. Okay? Across the river, and Scornabel swallowed both banks. This is how you do a sort of rough and ready Star Wars cantina caravan stop city in the backlands, and see all the paddocks. See the I'm using the pointillism to suggest where trade roads go off, because the trade roads are not going to be paved. They're going to be wagon ruts.
Yep.
And if you look in the overall maps of the realms and you follow the tradeway down the Sword Coast, you go, "Hey Ed, how come it starts and stops and goes to the dots in the middle?" And the reason why it goes to dots in the middle is because you get to places where it's open grassland.
Yeah.
And every drover goes, "I'm not driving in those ruts anymore." And he just pulls out and goes his own way, and so does the next wagon, and so does the next wagon. Okay, so that's why it drops to dots. And there's not much else to tell you about Scornabel other than the fact that it looks pretty and it shows you how things just grow. There's no city planning here because it's Scornabel. You grab the piece of dirt next to the last house and you build your own.
Yep.
Cool one. All right. See what else we can blow through here. Get through as much as we share as much as we can.
Yeah.
There's one interior map. Show that one.
Oh yeah, we have
Lonesome
some
Tankard.
buildings here. That's,
Okay.
Yep.
This is my original map for the Lonesome Tankard in Evening Star, and I had my original maps, and here they are. And then I prettied them up for turning them over to TSR by cutting out, again, from their map pack. They gave you elements. You see the little tables with chairs around?
Oh
them?
yeah, they look like you
Yeah.
pasted them in, so
Yeah.
to speak. Yep.
I cut them out, and I
Yeah.
made magic mending tape, really tiny balls, and I stuck them down because
Yeah.
that's what they told me they wanted. This is my hand-drawn pointillism, and
Yeah.
you see we're blowing it up. It's really crude, and that's my hand-drawn stairs. That's a
Yeah.
stair. That's the one that's halfway up the left-hand side of this is a stair going down. That's how they
Yeah.
wanted to show you a stair going down.
Yep.
Okay, and here's a stair that is coming up from a lower level and then turning.
Yeah, here.
Okay,
Yeah.
to reach this level, those are doors, and there
Yeah,
are ways
these
of
are-
drawing secret doors and so on.
Yep.
Yep, all that.
Yeah, they follow the standard dungeon mapping.
Yeah, but there's all the levels
You have
of
the
the
secret
Lonesome
doors. I love that secret door symbol.
Yes,
It's
that's the secret door. Those I hand drew because I couldn't be bothered
what are
cutting theirs.
these things? They look like conception of a trap or something. What is?
Oh no!
Yeah.
What I'm actually showing here is I've got two levels.
Ah, gotcha.
And-
above the
okay.
other.
Yep.
And what I'm doing is I'm saying this thing in the corner, this room in the corner,
Yeah.
isn't actually in the corner.
Yeah.
It sits on top of
Of the other
that
one.
spiral stair.
Yep.
And that was also an agreed upon way of showing things.
Okay. Yep.
Whereas a curtain there is it like a tapestry
Oh,
or
yeah,
a
yeah.
cutaway. This
Yeah.
one's a cutaway, saying
Uh-huh.
we are now going down out of the
Oh
level.
yeah, same as here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are hand drawn in geography class because I was bored.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was. And these are windows. Just cut
Yeah,
in. That's
up
all
here.
hand drawn, and these are doors. Doors in the window.
Oh yeah, door sticks
yeah,
out
yeah.
and the windows
Yep.
are in
Yeah.
inside the walls. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a bar desk here. That is
And
kind of-
this is good enough that you can have a detailed barroom brawl
Oh,
or
yeah.
people searching for
Yeah.
a scroll tube or something that's hidden,
yeah.
and you can clearly see where everything is. And I did all that in a 45-minute geography class, and I
Yes.
considered it a geography class well spent.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we did.
Yeah. Let me show. I have a couple of. We have Dungeon here. We have a couple. That was what I showed previously. And buildings. These are my standard of doing. I'm quick and dirty in Photoshop that I use for my game. So this little bit here is a part of the what I made as the headquarters for the commander of the Order of the Shield. So Katarina made this. Originally, it was an Extorian temple that was then abandoned when the Great Kingdom, when Shieldland became independent and the Hextorians were not allowed anymore. The Order, when that was formed, took it over and converted it into the commanders. It's a 7-layer fortified kind of big city house, so to speak. So I make, this is my style, that I make them quick and dirty to in Photoshop to make them. So it's a little bit of, I have a template for it, so I can make a level like this in probably an hour or so. So I've made a lot of buildings, and they're coming for, so all the ones that I've done for my campaign will be available on my website soon. So you can see with some keys and some basic info, but because I don't write the story of every, but one of the things in this building, and I can, well, if you talk about something else for 30 seconds, I can go in and find the whole building here. So yeah.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah,
That's
oh,
over to you.
man.
Talk about something else. for
Talk
30
about
seconds.
something else. So,
Yeah.
said, I think I'm going to. How many of your own creations am I going to use against you tomorrow morning?
None, because you love me, and you're merciful,
No.
and I'm a nice boy.
Yes.
At least I got a yes.
Yeah. Well, so 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, in the chop house, in front of the glass.
Raw meat.
Two drink minimum. With Ed Greenwood playing Ravalantor's Greyhawk Mage, so we get to play live in front of,
And
stream in
Tony,
front-
Tony can be with us in
Tony,
person.
yeah, Tony's here. Yeah, I saw her today.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to it. But I always use some of Ed's obscure spells or monsters against him every time we get together.
The love is deep and abiding.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. It's like, damn you.
It's the most lovely way we look at each other across the table and say,
Yeah.
"You bastard."
Yeah. So, Yeah, so this is the map. That's City Hall that is built together with this. And this is just blown up. My standard in size is 20 pixels per 5 feet, because that's enough that I can just get enough detail to make it interesting, so to speak. And then and one of the details is the floor pattern here. You have these are just like regular stone tiles. These are darker blue-gray ones, or almost black ones. And I have it that these were made out of the black malachite, the same material that the throne in Rossi's were made of. So and they were actually on the outside. I have it from the beginning because that was fashionable. The historians wanted to show that they had some power from back home from the throne. And what they did when the Order of the Shield took over, they took that down and they put it on the floor tiles. And then when they go into the room, they spit on the floor to spit on the Rossi, so to speak, as a symbol of they conquering him, so to speak. But it's a fortified building. So originally these were stables, and that was the entry, and then there are arrow slits, and then there's like a fortified door, and there's like a pit here, and there's like and then you come in to this, and this was originally the temple. The main hall for the temple, and this is where the inner sanctum, that only the priests and stuff were. But now it's actually Katarina's training grounds where she used, and it's her training gym, so to speak. And yeah, that's a crude down symbol, because I realized I needed to put that, so it's down into the basement. And this is where they have a historian statue back in the day. And this is, I put, there's facilities on my map.
Of course.
So they're
And you gotta go.
This is the main one, because on the floor above this, that's down the basement level, where they had the prison cells and stuff like that. And this is the top level, and then you go down into each level down in the building here. So, and here you have, and this is the level we saw before. So this is the 2 levels up, where they have the grand ballroom, so to speak, where they have big get-togethers and when they have invited guests and stuff. So we had the Need festivities. And here's the garage, the blue room, where they have the fancy room where the fancy part of the after party is done, and so on. So I tried to make a story into it. So I will publish this with the stories and stuff. So yeah.
Anna believes in killing zones, as you can see from those maps.
Oh yeah, those are if it's fortified. The historians knew how to make themselves hard to conquer, so to speak. So yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. Do we have any more time?
We got 13 minutes. So
13 minutes. Okay.
Let's blow out some more, and maybe we'll take. Let's go like half that time with maps and questions. How's that sound?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So here we go. So I know we got a couple if we haven't discussed.
Oh, there was. Hang on a second. I'm going to open the other one and go in here, and we go into.
Do you have a favorite map Ed you ever did?
That's really hard. That's like asking who's your favorite child.
I know, but
I would think the overall map, the city water deep.
Okay.
Just because.
But we have one of these color maps. You have to tell the story about these maps.
Okay.
They were your continental overview maps,
yeah.
so to
Yes.
speak. Yeah.
So in the first part of the third look at the Forgotten Realms was a 55-page, 55 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper, overall view of Faerun, and I sent these off to Jeff. They all had a overlay, so it was actually like 55 times 2, because I then would take a blank sheet of paper, roll it into my father's Underwood 8. The thing about an Underwood 8, the platen is this long, which means you can put pieces of paper in at any angle without crumpling them. And I would type in about the same space on the page all my handwritten chicken scratches that people couldn't read. I would type out legibly. However, Cave Noth exists in the Forgotten Realms because somebody couldn't read my chicken scratches for Cave Mouth. And the reason they couldn't read it is because they took all those sheets and threw them away. Because, hey, we know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But what happened was Jeff Grubb taped all of these together, and just with regular tape.
Yeah,
you see, so it's
here,
perished. And Alex Kammer now owns this, and it's on the roof of the game hole, and he's had it restored. And the main part of the restoration is taking that tape off. Okay, so Jeff Grubb taped all these together, and he wanted to keep things straight for people who who are walking into his
couple
cubicle.
of other ones we can.
So we put blue magic marker for water's edge, yellow across the names, so you saw which letters went
Here's
with which.
another one where you
and
can
then-
see the tape.
Yeah.
The names.
And then
stuff, yeah.
green for the forest edges.
Yep.
So and red for the major roads, so you can keep things straight. If you know nothing about the world and you come in to ask Jeff a question, you can see what's what when he points it out. So
Yep.
this is my faint pencil originals, which I still have, photocopied, and I darken with the photocopier because hey, high tech. This is before
Yeah, you
computers.
can introduce the
Yeah, and then
contrast,
he
yep.
taped them together and colored them. So this is TSR's faint photocopies of the master map colored for their use, and this is the realms map now. So you can see all the original stuff, and there's some blotches where things got wet.
Yeah.
That is Karen Boomgarden's coffee cup.
Oh my gosh.
But that's what you see.
You see the
Yeah.
tape mark. You see the big piece of tape right
Yeah,
there.
and you
Yeah.
can see the plastic overlay here.
and
stuff,
look
yeah.
there, wood where the silver elves are found, bracket, our deep forest, and bracket. See, that's my notes to him.
Yeah.
And you see the different handwriting down there?
Yeah.
There, Jeff is written in Lizard Marsh
Ah, yeah, exactly.
because he wants to add that as a name.
Yeah.
Okay,
What is it supposed to be?
it had no name.
Okay.
The lizard folk knew where they lived,
Right, right.
Yeah.
and and the humans didn't go anywhere near there. The trade
Yeah.
road went past it, and they didn't want to get eaten by insects, so they just went past it.
Yeah.
And he said, "No, it's got to be named. It's got to be Lizard Marsh." Okay, fine. Because
Wow.
for their purposes, they needed a name.
Yeah.
And you can see Ilfarn is
Right.
added.
Oh, really? He
You see,
he
see,
had
I
a
wrote
name.
the Fallen Kingdom. in
Yeah.
quotation
Right.
marks.
Yeah, here,
Okay.
and
Because
then
that's
you
what-
put Ilfarn.
Oh,
with
wow.
that,
What
yeah.
people at the time knew, and he said, "Okay, we're going to put Ilfarn there." So there it is.
Yeah.
Huh.
And there, you see the little black triangle,
Yeah, crumbling stair.
the crumbling
Yeah.
stair. That's a
Yeah.
dungeon,
Oh, yeah.
as in a literal dungeon you can go and
Yeah.
explore.
That's
'Cause I
not
was-
the endless stair which you wrote
No,
beforehand.
no. The,
Okay.
the crumbling stair is a
Okay.
completely different dungeon. Never been published. There's Seacomber down there. You see, that's
Yeah.
how we did maps,
Yeah.
and that was the
And
overall
then you
map.
have your city symbol, the triangle. You kept
Yeah.
it through
And
the- yeah.
there is a funny story. TSR needed the overall view of this map early for some weird reason. Well, this is not, nobody has cell phones. Nobody has digital cameras. We have good old-fashioned, in this case, Akai Pentax cameras, single lens reflex. And in order to get an overall shot of this, when I was up, I used to own 2 cottages in Muskoka. One of them had an unfinished, so the ceiling was bare rafters. So I climbed up into the rafters in my bare nakeds, because it was a really hot summer day, to take a photograph with my wife's camera of the map, because I had to get high enough up to get
Yeah.
an overall view of the
Yeah,
map.
you don't want to use a wide angle
Yeah.
lens and get distortions and weird things. So,
What's
yeah.
a wide angle lens? It's somebody,
Yeah.
somebody with people with money buy.
Yeah.
Okay, but I was brilliant. I just want you to know this, gamer's ingenuity. I took my pillow up into the rafters with me, so that when inevitably I leaned too far and fell out of the rafters onto the map, I could shove my wife's camera into the pillow, wrap it to my chest, and then roll over and get all the bruises on this side of my body and not break her camera, which is why I'm still alive today.
Wow.
But that's how I got an overall shot. We're very high tech.
Ingenuity there, right?
Yep.
My gosh. Wow. That's
Yep.
amazing.
That's
Why is the map wrinkled? Because I landed on it.
Yep.
How
That's
many
all-
times?
Yeah.
Let's see. Here's another one that has a little bit of. It looks very primitive. Yep.
Oh, this is. This
Yeah,
is
it's Mitch.
not
No.
Oh,
my map.
that's Jeff's overlay when he changed something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Underneath, you see the blue underneath and the
Yeah.
edges?
Yeah.
Those are my original Moonshay Isles, which look very much like the real world Hebrides or Ursula Le Guin's Earthsea, in that they are tons of tiny islands in a sea, and fishing boats go out from each, and very few traders make the long voyages in between. And they needed to replace them with the existing Albion campaign that Doug Niles had created for TSR UK, and so he just taped that over that. And one of the things I keep forgetting to bring Alex Camera to Gamehole Con is my originals. so he can
Yep.
he can put up beside it in a little frame or whatever he wants to do with it. Okay, here's what was originally there before they did that. Which I think is far cooler because it's tons of tiny islands, and you
Yep.
can have a different dungeon on every island, and you
Yep.
can have people who don't talk to the people on the island over there because of a
Yep.
feud from 5,000 years ago that nobody remembers. What all that fun stuff. And I look at that and say, oh yeah, Celtic Britain, boring.
Yep.
So we got 5 minutes left. So what questions do you have of
Yeah,
Anna or
please.
Ed?
Yeah.
I have one. Is there a detail in the published realms maps that that didn't get published that you wish would have gotten put into the maps?
Oh, I want all of them published. I want giant map books. I want what my father had when you bought Encyclopedia Britannica 1 volume at a time, leather bound, and when you got the whole set, they sent you this big hunking piece of furniture, and there was a slot across the back and an atlas that was this wide that lifted up out of it. I want that atlas in color,
Yep.
in glossy coated stock for the realms, because you deserve nothing less. Not because I'm a great cartographer, but because I already did all the work. I might as well print it. However, doing that now, almost impossible, because all the maps are scattered through all the boxes in my 2 sea cans that are in the yard, and will probably never be all. And I look at what Anna's doing here, and it's like, okay, 50 years of advancing technology.
Yeah.
My maps are usable, they're
Oh,
fun,
They're wonderful.
but they're impossibly crude compared to this.
Yeah. That this is 120 miles by 120
Something you gotta hire
miles.
Anna.
I do have to hire Anna.
Yep.
I don't know if I can afford Anna.
we,
Getting,
we can make some arrangements.
I was
somehow.
married for
Yeah.
43 years, and it taught me, you hire a woman, they are expensive.
Yeah, but I can show. There's a. We looked at this little nook here where you can put the dragon's lair, but there's also Thing Gizzard's hut up in the.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I had to make a little island in the and you have to bear with me because this is not textured properly. But once it is textured, I think it will look great, and there will be vegetation and stuff in there. So I had to make a little island out here in the swampy areas that she had to, and that took me an hour extra. So Thing Gizzard have a little island here where she can have her hut on. So that's the thing, when you do maps like this, you have to look at the stories, and the map should be a canvas for the stories. That's the key bit. And it's different because you create the world as you created your maps. I'm just going in to try and create maps of a world that is written by lots of other authors over the time. And each comes with its own difficulty, so to speak. I have the technology on my side, but I also have decades of previous material to try and squeeze into something that sometimes contradict each other and stuff. But it's fun to try and visualize what the world actually looks like, so to speak. So that's part of the fun.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Please.
In the old Halrua map, it looked like there was a city of splendors on there, but it wasn't Waterdeep.
No. You can have multiple names with the same sobriquet. And unless you're a game publisher, in which you don't want to confuse gamers because they're silly people who don't. It's like, so I had an Ashtaroth who was a demon and an Ashtaroth who was a devil in the realms, and if you summoned one with the wrong ritual, the other appeared uncontrolled, and they thought that was really cool, and they took it out. But I also had tons and tons of people in the world who were named after gods, and only one is two have survived, but Torm the thief was named after Torm the god. And I said, that's not realistic. And I said, really? How many people named Kennedy after President Kennedy? And then I said, so tell me again how many Lafayettes that you can drive through in the United States of America.
Springfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One last question. Wow. So what do you
Well,
think?
I want to see
Okay.
that in the realms.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
we
too.
talked that about the other night. If we saw Kosumi, then Ed say I can come and work on Forgotten Realms maps for him.
Yes.
So, yeah.
No IP
Hmm?
for you.
He could do. Do it, but he just couldn't sell it.
We can probably
Or we-
somehow we can
Patreon.
make it.
No, I want the maps from me. And now that we're in, wait a minute, but now that we're in the digital world,
Yep.
leaks happen all the
Yes.
time.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Ed's great
Yep.
with the NDAs,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Mhm.
It's not my NDA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hope you enjoyed this. What do you think? We good? Yeah. So, we have Ed on a lot on my talk shows, mostly on Gavin's on Sunday night. He's on all the time, and we usually do like Great Wizards of the Realms of Greyhawk. And then Ed even gives us lore for Greyhawk. So please.
Yeah.
So look, the Altamira book is up there, and the 15% off coupon. If you want either one, just ask. They'll hand them over to you. And I just appreciate your time. Thank you so very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
gorgeous.
This was
That was awesome.
Yep.
Now
Let me see if I can find someone to raid into.
Yep.
Or anyone watching online.
That was brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you.
Okay, I can sign one, but I have to have a
I just
meeting
want
with
to say
Luke
good
and
job,
Lucia.
Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you.
We're gonna raid into
was
Christine
sculpting
Van
for a
Patten.
Okay.
Yeah, tell her I need to get back to her. She sent me an email
Okay.
just before the con, so I will get back to her. Yeah.
Oh wow, that is cool.
Yeah, this is and then here you have
Put my
the
glasses on.
the oldest, this original.
Can I take a picture?
Oh, please do. Yeah, and I will publish.
See you soon.
Good.
One more
pictures.
live
I
stream.
took out my tripod and my DSLR.
5, 4,
We did do a lot of
3,
elevations.
2,
Oh yeah, he
1.
was crazy about that part. So. And here's the
2 days of drawing treasure.
Oh, Lynn's articles are always like one of the
ask
first
Nico,
things I
talk
always
Yep.
try to read.
You.
Yep.
Okay.
Dragon Magazine. Anna, thank you so much for all your
Hang on
work.
a second. These are from last year, but please take a couple from.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Yo.
Oh, Lord Kazumba is rating.
What,
We partied
yes, I
Thursday.
do.
special for
Just
you
come
too.
find
But-
us.
Hey.
How is Gary
You
Con?
know, we have. I have like another like
to warn you.
Solar
And
Games
it's
has them
also,
at their
Creative Commons, so you
down
can
the
take
River
it,
Hall.
We're all
They have,
very
like,
jealous.
150,
version,
you know,
share that
so
and stuff.
I promise.
That's the point.
Give us
They're
your
supposed
name,
to
I'll
be
get it to you.
used and not an end product. That's a raw
Eric
Jackson
material
says the
for
rap
you
guy
and
painted a
other
lot of his
DMs
own
to make your
figures, so he
own
knows
stuff. That's the idea.
Excellent. Yeah, and your heraldry work is awesome too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we didn't get into that here, but it's thank you.
House
Yeah.
sculpt for painting. That's great. Yeah.
I cannot get enough.
I've